is. It's so much fun for the fans, and I think the exciting thing is it just brings a lot of attention to both of our programs. That we're both having really good years again. Obviously, coming off a great year last year, and I think for both programs, we like for the fans to know and want to make sure people realize there's only so many games left. I think we have 14 home games left and 21 overall, so we don't want people to miss out.
What does it mean for college baseball when both of you are good?
I think it's great. I think we both obviously represent the state of Kentucky, but I know especially our program and theirs to a degree, we represent the Midwest. So many kids from Indiana and Ohio and Illinois, and that there's good baseball in this part of the country. I think it's a compliment to the youth coaches in this state, in this part of the country, and especially the high school coaches. Because the majority of our kids are, like I said, from the state of Kentucky or from those regions just north of us.
You look at the close games that you guys have had in some of these series, even, the one-run games and some of the series you've lost. Do you see that as a sign of improvement, or is that something where, you need to work on being able to close those types of games out?
Specifically for this game, rivalry games are always tough. I think in college baseball, everybody's playing a lot of close games, and to have a really good year, you got to win the close games, and teams that have a tough year, obviously lose those close games. Fortunately for us, we've got an All-American closer. I think he's got 10 saves on the year. So yeah, we've let some close ones get away, but we've also won our share of close ones, and that gives us a lot of confidence going down the home stretch.
Dan, what did you see out of your team this past weekend?
I think it starts on the mound. I said it after the NC State series. I thought we had 3 quality starts that weekend, and one of the first times in ACC play, and so felt really confident going to Virginia Tech. We got 3 unbelievable starts: Wolf, Bennett, and Miller, and I think it was 29 strikeouts and 2 walks on the weekend. Just some amazing numbers, and that gives us a lot of confidence. Everybody says, starting pitching is everything, and we played good defense. We competed offensively, and then the bats exploded Saturday night, which is nice because we feel like we're starting to put the pieces together. And Bordner had 2 saves. I mean, it was a really clean weekend all the way around.
What can a weekend like that do for your team moving forward? I mean, confidence is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a mental game. You go through the good periods and you go through the tough periods, and we had gone through a tough stretch there, for a month. To just, the close calls, the close plays, the tough losses, the schedule we played, had a lot to do with that. But confidence is such a big part of this game, and feeling like the last week or so, the way we've played, definitely is a boost, and it's needed when you're playing good teams like Kentucky, and then obviously we host Virginia this weekend.
Is this a group that in those tough times, they benefit from you guys as a coaching staff talking with them about it, or you just kind of just leave them to their own devices?
No, we don't ever want them to fend for themselves. I mean, our job is to lead and the coach, and so Coach Williams or Coach Snyder or Coach Vrabel, probably more coaching this year than we've ever done, not just from the physical side and the fundamentals, but also the mental side. But that's what you love. I mean, that's what we love. I mean, these kids are sponges. They want to get better. They want to learn, and it's I believe you're stronger when you go through these trials. Stress is a test that we talked about in our chapel this weekend, and it only prepares you, for the toughness of the home stretch and then the postseason.
This is obviously a rivalry game, but do you ever look at it in terms of what it can mean for your NCAA tournament resume?
I mean, they're all, there's so many games that are what you call RPI games. Unfortunately, when we're in the ACC, we don't have to live and die off these games. But with that being said, I don't ever want to undermine it. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal to a lot of people in this state, and that's what makes it a big deal to us. If 4,000 or 5,000 people are going to come out, not that we're not going to play hard every Tuesday night, but it's hard not. It's hard not to give your best effort when it means so much to so many people. And like I said, I think for both programs, this could really springboard us down the home stretch and make sure the fans take advantage of both teams and the home opportunities that we have. Because once the postseason comes, you never know.
You guys want to host, and I'm sure they want to host. I mean, do you guys talk about that kind of stuff? How important these games are to?
No, like I said, it's I'm not one, and I try to preach to our kids. Like I said, I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on social media. I don't look at our RPI. I don't look at the rankings. I really don't. I just, it's easy for me to just put all my attention into these kids and how do we get better. And when it all shakes out, it all shakes out. I mean, I don't follow RPI. You win a game, lose a game, and you go up 2 spots, you go down 2 spots. I don't. For me, that's for people who live on the bubble. I don't live on the bubble. I mean, we're preparing to play in the postseason. We're preparing to do damage in the postseason. So if that's at home at Jim Patterson Stadium, great. If for some reason we don't do enough, then hey, we be a team that goes on the road, and there's teams that go on the road and do special things.
You talked about starting pitching over the weekend. How will you handle tomorrow night?
Like a lot of midweek games, it's I think we both threw 5 or so pitchers last time we played them, and that's most midweek opponents. You have to line up everybody for the weekend, and but tomorrow we'll flip the ball to Reed Detmers, a talented freshman. But you don't ever expect them to go too deep into the game. You got to have all hands on deck, and we both finished our series on Saturday. We both should have plenty of arms to run out there tomorrow night.
When you look at their lineup, what is the key parts to controlling them?
Oh man, they do a really good job of grinding out at bats. High on base percentage. They force you to throw the ball in the zone. They don't strike out easily. They really compete with 2 strikes. They move the ball. So they're gonna great 2-strike approach, put the ball in play. You got to play. We didn't play great defense last time. You got to make the routine plays. You got to minimize your walks and HBPs. There's no secret. Great offenses get guys on base. When guys are on base, batting averages go up. So they do a really good job of putting guys on base, as we have also done at times. And so the key is try to keep your pitchers out of the stretch. But obviously, when you're in the stretch, you got to make pitches and you got to make plays.
In the big leagues this year, there have been so many games canceled by weather, and you guys have been playing for 2 months. Do you guys just block that out, or how do you deal with that? Because you have to do that every year.
Oh yeah, well I'm sure you're seeing Adam Engel's tweets and things. I don't. The players are telling me about him, and Adam sends me a couple of texts playing for the White Sox. It's something we know we have no control over, and we practice in January, and so we realize, hey, games are going to be in that weather. I just hate it for the fans. Our kids are fine, 18 to 22. They're working up a sweat. They're running around. I always say, you don't have to feel bad for them. I just hate it because sometimes it'll detract the fans from coming out, and we lose some opportunities to have great crowds. But fortunately, last time we played there, it was 60, 70 degrees, and tomorrow night it's going to be in the 60s. So what matters is the weather tomorrow.
Dan Lucas gave you a big lift over the weekend. Done at third base. Talk about what he did, kind of stepping in for Justin, and when you might get Justin back.
Yeah, I think Justin's day to day. He might be able to play tomorrow night. What my message to all the hitters were, you're not freshmen anymore. We've got 4 freshmen that have lettered so far, and I go back to those years where Solak and Corey Ray were inserted into the lineup in 14, and that was late. And of course, Will Smith and Colin Lyman and Logan Taylor helped us throughout the year, but Solak and Corey became fixtures in our lineup late. And so I still think there's a couple freshmen in Dunn and maybe Zach Britton who can help us day in and day out. The sophomores are all getting better. That was the key this year, is what's the sophomore group going to do? And we needed to get them through a half a season, and now they're in the second half. And you see the Logan Wyatts, and you see Oriente start to click in, and now the at-bats. And Snyder and Fitz and Lavin, those guys have all been pretty consistent all year. So I'm excited that the freshmen and the sophomores are growing up, take some of the pressure off of Stores and Mann, who don't have gaudy numbers but have very good numbers. When you look at their stat sheet, man, they fill up a stat sheet. So I'm excited about the offense because I think Saturday night was just a sign of, hey, this group is growing up. The younger guys, are not young anymore, and we need to be more consistent down the stretch.
Zeke and Michael McAveen are both back. How big is that for the club to get those two back?
That was a big boost last week. Anytime you get a position player who's respected, played a lot, probably like Man and Stores, played a lot of baseball in his first 2 years, and you get a fresh body like that, the energy from a guy who's just been leaning over the railing, how excited he was. He brought a lot of energy to our team last week. And then McAveen, we always say Michael was a weekend starter out of the gate. There haven't been a lot of freshmen that have started their first time in a weekend spot like a Justin Marks did. So to get Michael back through an inning Saturday night was a clean inning. That's huge. That's a big boost, and because it is a long year, and guys go through those ups and downs, and you can get two fresh bodies out there. I thought that was a huge lift last week.
How will you manage McAveen going forward? And he was a starter last year, obviously. It'll take time to.
Yeah, Coach Williams is always in contacts with our trainer and our strength coach, and he's limited. I mean, just like with Nick Bennett, we started him in the bullpen, then we gave him a little more time to get going, and now he's settled into the Saturday starter. So in McAveen's case, it's 1 out at a time, 3 outs in an inning, and probably keep it to an inning or so for now, and then eventually we'll get to some multiple innings, and whether that's long relief or like we did with Bobby Miller. We started him a couple weeks ago knowing he was only going to go 3 innings, and but it's just nice to have a real power arm who's as talented as Michael is, fresh and on the climb up.
Logan Wyatt said he wasn't super happy with how he played this summer up in Maine. When he came back to campus, what did you sense was kind of his mindset, and how did he get over that hump this season?
Well, he was part of that sophomore group, whereas freshmen, we knew they were going to be behind Hairston and Ellis and McKay and all those older players. We knew we had a year to get them ready. So Logan was one of those guys that get him in at first base as much as I could, even with McKay and Ellis, get him some at-bats, send them off this summer like all those freshmen, knowing as sophomores you got a chance to be everyday guys. And what I love about Logan and this group, we use the phrase "be professional." He's professional. He works really hard. The bar is set high. And I don't know if it's because he's following McKay and Ellis, but I just think he wants to be great. So he works extremely hard in the weight room, lives in that hack shack, loves to hit like all those guys do, and so it's good to see him have success. He's got a great eye, in the batter's box. He doesn't swing out of the zone much. He's obviously a really strong kid. It's fun. I mean, for me, see a kid from North Bullitt having the success that he's had. We love when local kids come here and develop and now become household names across the country. Just what I said in the beginning. Take kids from Kentucky and the Midwest and put them on the big stage and let them play baseball at the highest level.
What's his role in the dugout?
He leads by example, man. Just plays hard, just grinds out at bats, and at times he's played really good defense at first base. I've challenged him. I think he can be one of the best first basemen in all of college baseball. It takes time, but he's got the skill set. He's got the desire. And so right now he's, like I say, he's well respected because of how hard he works.